Before you watch this video, I need to put in a disclaimer. I'm about to rant on the shotgun and complain a lot because it was a Jam Master again. However, it's not the shotgun's fault. It is Briley's fault. They were supposed to do several modifications to this before they sent it back to me. So it basically went down like this. I wanted the M2 latch installed because one, it was having problems feeding out of the tube because the latch is so strong it would just pinch the shell and stop them from feeding in. Two, that latch, because it's a one-piece, makes it really hard to load, and they actually have a two-piece latch they can install that makes it super easy to load. I also wanted the magazine tube spring replaced because I knew that spring was weaker. I winded up using an older spring that was shorter because I was trying to put that shorter spring in there. This way it would be easier to feed and help me get past the latch easier. I'm like, hey, I want that replaced because it's actually not the right spring in there. I wanted to go with it to make it easier to feed, but it malfunctioned last time. And then I also want the front sight replaced because I dicked it up a little bit when I was trying to put on the night sight. So that's what I want done. Well, they called me. They're like, hey, the gun's ready to ship back. And then I'm like, all right, so we got the magazine latch done. We got the tube spring replaced and we got the sight done. And he's like, what? No, we didn't do that. We did the sight and then the magazine latch. I should have had him clarify because he meant putting this big-ass paddle on there and putting a spring in there and instead of installing the M2 latch that I wanted done. I'm like, oh, I want the spring done on the magazine tube too. He's like, oh, okay, I'll get that done. And because of their incompetence to that point, I should have been like, okay, let's double check and make sure he got it done, because when I got the shotgun back, there was this bag that had a spring inside of it. I assumed, and I know you should never assume, but I assumed it was the old spring they took out. Well, it was actually the spring that is supposed to go in. So all the malfunction I had was caused by having this wrong spring in, and I am okay with a simple spring change to fix a malfunction. That I am okay with. I assumed that there needed to be machine work done to this to make it run. So this is the spring that it did not have in it, that I wanted in it, that I thought was in it. This was the actual spring that was in it. You see the difference? It's almost twice the length. So, dollars to donuts, when it has this spring in there, it will feed just fine. Yes, I did have malfunctions when the shotgun was brand new, running a little bit lighter loads with the same exact thing. It would pinch the shell. But that was probably just because there was all new finish on the inside and nothing was wore out and it was just sticky enough to grab the shell. And that's what I had chalked it up to. Now, I'll bitch in the video saying that I've had malfunctions from the beginning because I thought now it's got a heavy spring in there. There's no reason it should malfunction. It should run 100%. So, again, as you watch this video, understand I am under the impression this spring is in it and it's not. So, once this is put in, it's probably going to feed 100%. I apologize, I'm about to run the shotgun through the mud when it doesn't need to be run through the mud. Briley, the shotgun place, they could probably be run through the mud a little bit. Alright, so when I put on the tritium sights, I did screw with these sights a lot, so we're going to shoot some slugs and see how she patterns. Got some Remington 3-inch mags. 1 ounce slugs. Seems a little bit high. Let me shoot one more. Might take a knee for this. High again. Let me lower the sights a little bit. There we go. Now, all of them seem a little bit to the left. It could possibly be from me pulling it, so let me get something to rest on. just to make sure my left and right is accurate. Yeah, so we're going to correct right a little bit. Hopefully I can get it right away because I only got one slug left. Alright, just a minute. Well, I didn't get enough right on it, but I'm out of slugs. Alright, now I got some Federal Power Shot. Looks like 2 3/4, 1325. Let's see how these pattern. Pattern looks pretty good. It's dispersed nicely across the target. I had one all the way to the left, one kind of high above the diamond, one in the diamond, one below. I'm going to shoot like a couple of more. We'll see that make sure that it actually feeds through the tube now. And see how these pattern. Malfunction. Malfunction. Alright, let's go down there and check out the pattern. I'd call the pattern good. It's nice evenly dispersed on there. Not too bad at all. It's too bad the gun won't run. Alright, I got some targets set up. They're relatively small. Right around the size of like a newborn puppy. So let's give it a try, see how well the shotgun runs, if it runs. Well, unfortunately, a bunch of my targets fell over, so let's set them up again and shoot some more. Alright, I got some targets set back up again, so let's top off the firearm, and then we'll try to work through them. Malfunction. And we're empty. And you know, I gotta say, I am really quite impressed with how much this malfunctions. I tried explaining to everybody like why I was mad at it and how it's not gonna work properly because the spring is just so tight. But no one wanted to hear it, so hopefully maybe seeing it in real life will explain to them what my problem with this shotgun is. Remember, this started at $2 grand. I got almost 3 into it now, on my way to 4, and it still doesn't run for shit. And yes, with normal power loads. You've seen it malfunction on buckshot, you've seen it malfunction on slugs. This just doesn't run because this load gate is so stiff when the shells come out, it grabs them and sees them into place and prevents the lifter from going up. So let's try to work through some targets without a malfunction this time. Wouldn't that be cool? That would be pretty cool, wouldn't it? And we got a malfunction. But to be honest, just having a semi-auto period is a disadvantage because semi-autos just don't run as reliably. Looking at buying a Beretta, and the guy said the same thing. Once it gets down in the tube, it starts malfunctioning. It's just a semi-auto thing. So yes, it sucks that this malfunctions, but it's not alone when it comes to semi-auto shotguns. Yeah, you can get them to run, and if the fix would have actually been done that I wanted, if there wasn't some sort of miscommunication, this would run 100%. But like I said, there was some sort of miscommunication, so instead of milling out the latch right here and putting in an M2 latch, which will run, there was some sort of miscommunication, so they just replaced the spring. So I got to send this back in and have that latch pocket milled out and an M2 latch put in here because it's got a second hinge point, so it's not so tough on the shells. It can let them slide by. I should probably add, since I've been shooting this more, this is getting easier to load and it is having less consistent malfunctions. Yeah, probably over a long period of time it will run good. But for $2,000, you're telling me a shotgun should have a break-in process or shouldn't run 100% right out of the box when I can go spend $200 on a Maverick 88 that will run 100% right out of the box. I could spend like around $700 and get a Mossberg 590A1 that will run 100% right out of the box. Yeah, this could be a lemon, but for $2,000, why in the shit would they not run this through quality control and at least test fire a tube and make sure it runs correctly? I did replace the tube, but this had the problem long before I ever replaced this tube. So I don't want to hear it. It's about parts that I put on there because this problem existed prior to me changing parts. Wow, didn't malfunction. That's pretty crazy. I think we're going to call it a day. I'm about tired of shooting something that malfunctions consistently. Appreciate you watching my video. Like to help support the channel, got my Patreon right there. Also have affiliate links in the description down below. Don't forget to subscribe.